One of the most magical things that I have ever gotten at the Santa Monica Farmers Market is an emu egg. So this is an emu egg. Looks like a dinosaur or a dragon egg. Emu is the second largest bird in the world. Okay, emus are from Australia, and believe it or not, there's a farm here that's close to San Diego called Shaner Farms. They have about 3 or 4, maybe 5 emus. But what's amazing is they lay eggs sometimes, usually between January and March. And in those 3 months, each emu will lay 50 of these eggs, okay? So this egg is like, it will feed 3 people. It's probably it's 60% yolk. It's unbelievable. But I thought I would have some fun and make a deviled egg with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this emu egg and we're going to hard boil it. Probably about 45 minutes to be safe. So we'll hard boil it and then we'll cool it down and then we'll make this into a devil's egg, okay? So we'll go to, basically what you want to do, the best thing is to bring this to a boil. This is almost there and it's pretty much there, but you'll get it to a full boil. And I have it in a small pot. I just like it. It stays confined. What I'll end up doing is I'll lower it in here so it starts boiling. And what I'll do is about every 5 minutes or so, I'll just start kind of rotating it, right? So we have to make sure that it's equally boiling on each side. So we're going to let that go. I can turn it up, let it boil, and let that go for about 45 minutes. So once this starts to boil, as you can see, it's really at the point where it's going to, this is when I would start the timer. So technically, I mean, I have Alexa, you can use anything you want, but I'll set it for 45 minutes. But more importantly, as you can see, is there's always going to be a top part of the surface that's not being covered by the hot water. So you are going to need to, every 5 minutes, is just kind of roll it and reset it. Okay, so our timer is off. We're going to cut this off like this. And I'm going to show you a really quick, easy way that I learned from my sous chef when I had my restaurant of cooling down an egg. So we're going to take this, and of course the first thing we're going to do is drain all that hot water out. So be very, very careful because it is extremely, extremely hot. And also, see how I'm holding that egg? The last thing we want is the egg to roll out because it's so heavy to kind of break. So I'm going to hold that back like that, try to get the hot water. Then I'll put it into a bigger kind of bowl like this. You can use anything you want. And right away, I'll start the cold water. So we're going to get the cold water in there. And then the next essential thing is really to put it on ice. So get that cold water there, and then I'll add the ice. And then I'm just going to let that sit. And you can feel the water is nice and cold. The fact that it's cold enough I can't keep my fingers in there, that's exactly where you want to be. And then just let that sit for about 30 minutes. And again, keep rotating it. Okay, so now it's been sitting probably about 30-35 minutes, so we should have this sufficiently cooled down. And you usually can tell the water gets pretty cold and you can feel the egg and you pretty much know that it's ready to be cracked. And this is great, this is beautiful, it's ready to go. So this has a pretty thick shell, so you got to be pretty careful. I mean, you have to use a certain amount of force, but then you don't want to use too much force, right? So what I'm doing is I'm going to take this hammer, it's more of a mallet and it has the rubber on it. If you don't have something like this, and you have just a hammer that you usually hammer nails with, then I would probably put a little towel over and do that. So what we're trying to do is not puncture the actual egg. So I like to just start down and do this. You can hear that crack, right? Hear it? The more that you can take this, if you can, into whole pieces, the better you're going to be. And it looks like, I can tell already, it's the perfect chill down, okay? Now why I say it's perfect is, you see how easily how easily that's coming up? That's not sticking to the shell. That's where you've cooled it down sufficiently. Because what happens is if you do this too soon, and it's still a little bit warm, it's going to stick and it's going to start to bring the egg apart. So one of the things you might want to do if you're just really uncertain, there's nothing wrong with it, is once it's in an ice bath, it's okay to stick it in the refrigerator for 10 or 15 minutes too, especially if you don't have any urgency to get to it. For me though, this is what I'm looking for. You see this? I'm looking for, you got to remember, I mean, you're spending $30 for an egg. You don't have a lot of opportunities to keep doing this. So you get super, super excited when, and I don't want to jinx myself, but when you're able to do this whole like this, right? So let's see here. The issue is I probably could have cracked it a few more times, but here's what's great. I'm going to show you. So you see how I'm slowly taking this away? What you want to do is you actually don't want to take the whole shell off, because what you're doing now is you've created a little boat, and that's where the actual 1/2 of the deviled egg is going to sit. So you see how that is? There should be no issue now. Ready? I should be able to slide right off. Hopefully, if you've gotten all the corners off. Okay, let me just get a few more corners. There you go. Anything that you think is kind of holding that, and see if that can just slide right out. There you go. Come on. Look at that. Now I've got my boat there. Is that not perfect? And what I might do, see I have a little bit of those chips. There's nothing wrong putting under here. Let those chips come off. And there you go. Perfect, perfect egg. Oh. Put it here. Now the hard part, not the hard part, but now another delicate part. This is all delicate, even though it's large, right? Is we're going to cut it in half and create that devil's egg, okay? So let's now hold it here. And this is really, really important, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the right bowl to kind of rest this in. So you just need a little bowl right here where I'm going to cut the halves and then I'm going to rest them in it. So again, I'm going to use my bread knife, and this has to be really delicate, right? Because I really don't want anything to come apart. Now listen, you're going to have a lot easier time, obviously, with duck and goose eggs, but let's see if we can just cut this really slowly that I'm not damaging any of the egg. Yeah. So again, I can tell just by cutting through it that I did this. Ooh, look at that, guys. Come on. Look at that. A perfect, perfect hard boil. So what we're going to do, we're going to move this out of the way. And all you're really doing for a devil's egg, you're just making an egg salad. That's all you're doing. You're making an egg salad, except you're whipping it and making it creamier. So we're going to take that yolk. Now this is what's tough. See how that's starting to split? That's the tricky part now, okay? Really tricky. Just be careful. Yep, it's starting to split, so we might only get a half one. Everything's been perfection so far, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that membrane, right? I'm going to take that shell, and I'm going to rest it in there. Look at that. See? Okay, so that's one. And then I have another shell left over from another egg. Let's take another one of these. So now I'm going to rest on this one in. So now, see how now, this is really, really important. Now you see every egg is different, but do you see how this yolk is so much to him? It's making this side really thin as opposed to that. And you're never going to know that until you open the egg, because every egg is different, right? So I'm going to have to be so careful and slide that out, right? And a matter of fact, if I was smart, I would keep it either like this or into the membrane, but there you go. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, that's about as perfect as you're going to get right there. And then we'll slide it into there. Oh, it's a little bit tricky. Such a thin membrane there, but now we've got two beautiful shells there, and now we're ready to make, aren't I proud of myself, huh? I am going to make the actual deviled egg now. So what we're going to do, take a fork and you mash this up. So this was 45 minutes, and you can really see from twisting it, it's really perfect. And it's super creamy. You're not going to know this yet, but it's super, super creamy. So I broke this up, and now I'm going to put, this is, I use you can use any kind of mayonnaise you want. This is a veganaise that I love. It's soy-free. I don't like a lot of dairy. It's not that big of a deal, but I like the creaminess of this. So I'm going to put a nice little heaping part of that. And the thing is once you put this is how I kind of judge things. It's how wet is it getting. So I might have to add more. So I'll start mixing it around. You can see it's still a little bit dry. Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that. Remember, these are huge, huge yolks here. There we go. I can start to see it getting very rich and creamy right now. Very rich and creamy. Give it a little bit of a taste here. It's so creamy. It's like such a creamy, creamy texture. Then you've got the tarragon and the onion in there, and so that's perfect, right? We've got it nice and creamy. Then we are going to take our palette here, and we're going to basically scoop this into the little shell there, right? It's exactly what you do to a devil's egg, right? You get that back in there. This one we'll scoop in here. Wow, this is really cool. Now look, this is definitely going to be hard to serve on its whole. So the whole point of this is you'll probably cut it up. You might just serve it with a small spoon and a small knife. So maybe what they're doing is they're eating a little bit of the devil's egg, then they're cutting the little yolk of it. That makes it kind of fun. And then the key ingredient that goes on all deviled eggs is a paprika at the end. I'm going to use a smoked paprika. So we're just going to shave that on top. And once you do that, you know it looks like a devil's egg, right? And there you go. This is a Emu deviled egg. I am very excited for this. And again, it's all going to be, how are you going to eat this? My recommendation is definitely a spoon. You have a knife as well, so you're enjoying it. But let me put this out in front of you so you can really see it. And there you go. So this is really something that you could probably serve anytime. It's probably a great afternoon snack. It's a great brunch item. I probably would serve my 17-step Bloody Mary with this. I think a Bloody Mary accompanying this would be a perfect, perfect pairing. And even with that great cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. So do what you want, do what inspires you, and I pray to God you can find the Emu Egg.